Okay, so having completed the overall technical shape, it's now about refining and couturing the haircut onto the face. So we've got our little double fringe. I think I'll start here because then that will give me a sense for the rest of the haircut. And when I'm going to point the two lengths together. So we've got our long fringe over the top of the shorter fringe underneath. And I'll just incline Amber's head toward me. It's a very hairy part, this, unfortunately, for the sitter. But essentially what you're going to do is to work up into the long hair and kind of marry the shorter hair underneath to it. And you need to kind of work into it in a few goes. You don't do it all in one go. And because you're sort of standing inside, you can really put the scissors in very, very straight to the hair. You're not cutting across. That takes out a lot of hair. The finer you go in, the less hair you take away. And it's just about refining the two lengths together. So also you can, because the sections are so clean, you know, where you've worked the shape technique, you can hold up the top lengths out of the way and then just gently refine the underneath fringe. Again, it's not about destroying the line. I just want to kind of make the hair just bend onto the forehead in a cool way. I find it's a good idea just to, depending on the length of the hair, just to bend your fingers slightly, because it just helps the hair to fan out a little bit, so you're taking even less hair away each time. It's kind of like the last 20% of the haircut will give you 80% of the result. Still got a very that's what I was saying at the beginning, it's still got a very geometric feel to it, but it's now becoming more. So then it just becomes about sort of longer pieces that come out of the fringe, but you're not really sure of where they're coming from. So it just gives it that nice, cool, editorial feel. And as the hair moves around, you just start to get sort of different effects from how the hair moves. So what I'll do, if you look at the two sides, I think you can quite clearly see, you know, the difference between the pointed side and then the side that hasn't been refined. So I'm going to go through and do exactly the same on the second side now. First of all, working on the underneath length of the fringe, and then working on the interior lengths, and then pointing everything together. So I'll just lift that out first of all, and just take a tiny bit of length that way, so you're kind of curving the line up. So it's, as I said at the beginning, it's still got that definite line to it, but it's now just becoming something that, you in a way, you want to go from skin into skin and hair mixed into hair. That's the kind of idea that you want to be aiming for. So not definite sort of little pieces missing, just a very natural blend. So work on the two areas individually first, and then come back through and then just point up into the two different lengths. And it's a good idea just to kind of comb the hair in different directions, so you can really feel when the hair is going to move, when Amber wears it herself, how the haircut is going to sort of react. Just going in between the longer lengths and just, again, breaking up the severity of the line in the fringe. I still want it to be a line, but a looser line. Depending on how much you layer the hair through, you start to bring the colour out or conceal the colour a little bit more, and then gradually work back into the length in the interior. And again, you really sort of bend your fingers here because there's a lot more, obviously a lot more hair. But I know what I'm doing here now is to work in this little triangle on the top and make this, I like the idea that the shape is very kind of flat and smooth on the interior. And then through the sides, you have these kind of funny little pieces that just kind of bring the, you know, make the shape a bit wild. So it's classic with wild bits. Okay, so we've got the kind of, the feeling into the fringe now with this kind of little textured length. We've still got the short underneath and the long on top, but it's just all blended together now. And then I took that pointing all the way through, but just carefully disconnecting the longer sections that I have either side still. So we've almost got like a very deep triangle now through the top. I've gone through the underneath too, the underneath lengths, and just pointed into those just to sort of break into that. Again, not to destroy the shape that's there, just to blend the textures. And now I'm just going to very gently refine. I want to keep the length here, but just refine the longer lengths. And it would just be a case of just working back up, once again, into the lengths of the hair. You can see that all the areas that the haircut divides are all very well sort of mapped out. And I suppose in a sense, that means that the haircut will be, first of all, for Amber, it'll be kind of easier to do. But then also for me, you know, if I wanted to in 6 or 8 weeks' time, it would still be quite easy to replicate. So, you know, again, the message is that the foundation of Sassoon technique is geometry, but the end result doesn't have to be geometric. It can be kind of anything you want. You're not going to cut any lines into the hair. It's just all about sort of softer edges. You can see that the underneath colour is sort of coming through now, and you just get you get a kind of hint of the flashes of colour through the interior. That's the kind of idea. Okay, so here's the completed result of Amber's haircut. As you can see, it's a kind of very controlled, layered and graduated shape through the interior. It has asymmetrical length through both sides, and then just these kind of little wild sort of editorial pieces that, depending on the way the hair is worn, will kind of interact with the shorter lengths either side of it. And of course, you know, as I said earlier, no shape at Sassoon is complete without the addition of colour. And I think you can see how the colour really delineates and accentuates the graphic nature of the shape.
Hi, I'm Richie Rivera, North American Color Director for Sassoon Salons and Academies. And what I've done on Amber today is to work in a shape-on-shape sectioning, which I started by dividing the top of the hair with an irregular triangle section through here, and then proceeded to pre-lighten the beveled area of that triangle section. Through the underneath, working with Wella Color Touch, I used 3-stroke 6/8 to achieve the black cherry. Coming through the top on my pre-lightened areas, I used Wella Colliston Perfect Intensitones 0-stroke 2/8 to achieve this inky green. Coming through with using the Intensitone 0-stroke 4/5 to achieve this red color, and then completing the top of this tonal composition with this Merlot tone of using 4/4, 6/5 and 0/6/5 with 20 volume.
So to achieve the finish on the hair, which obviously is extremely important, we used, first of all, whilst the hair was damp, we used Velvet Amplifier, which kind of tends to make the hair more supple, easier to work with. And I think what's interesting is layered on top of the Velvet Amplifier, we use Thermal Image, which again is like a hydrating product. So it means that even though the hair's coloured and, you know, it's kind of had the stresses of being pulled around to be cut, and it's not designed to look as though there's lots and lots of product in the hair. It should just be about the really reflective surface of the hair itself, assisted by the technique of the shape.
Be sure to look for more Sassoon education here on SalonProfessionalInteractive.com. It's always a pleasure to share hair with you.